Hey guys, welcome back to Take a Leap. Today I'm here with Heidi Hansen.
Hello.
And Aaliyah Ebert.
Hey everyone.
And I should mention that I'm James.
Hi James.
And today we wanted to bring another one of our original 7 episodes that came out in November 2024. If you've been keeping up with our summer re-releases, it's SadieB, which interestingly enough, although it was not the first episode dropped, it was actually the very first episode of Take a Leap ever recorded. But I think now is as good a time as any to recognize all the students who have worked on Take a Leap from the beginning. If you've joined us since these episodes first came out, you'll hear Ashton Rowan, who was one of the first people to be a part of the Take a Leap process. Mm-hmm. It's a good time to give him a shout out. Of course, Leah King, Josh Orton, Jackie Durfee, Soraya Pearson, all the students who we've had. We're so grateful for them and everything that they've done and wish them all the best in their future endeavors. But today, SadieB, Aaliyah, what is the main idea of this interview? What should we be looking for?
Yeah, this interview to me spoke about identity, and it's a pretty prominent thing. We all have different things that we identify with or as, and in the healthcare industry, the marketers, they play on that a lot. They tell the story of their dad, like looking at some of the packaging for shampoo and being like, what the heck? I love that they pick things like adventurer or creator to market for their shampoo and all the other things that they sell, instead of the way that we look, because that's less important ultimately than who we are or what we do. As far as identity goes as well, I think that's another thing that religion has done for me, because we have all these messages from everywhere and anywhere, but my faith has been really instrumental in me learning who I am and what I'm capable of, rather than relying on the things that are on shampoo bottles at the grocery store. Another thing I'll just briefly put in here, Sadie and Abby are both members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and Sadie's going to talk about receiving her endowment. Receiving your endowment is essentially another ceremony with religious purpose. Similar to like a baptism, we would consider that the next step. So when she talks about that, that's what that means.
One of the things that they mention in the episode is this idea of mental hygiene, like how you're talking about all these different messages that we receive that influence how we think about the world and about ourselves. And it's important to make sure that we're taking care of our mental health because of all these messages that we receive that can sometimes be negative or forcing us to compare ourselves. And I really like that idea of mental hygiene, of making sure that you're taking care of your mental health. Heidi, what do you think about mental hygiene?
You know, you go into the store and there's whole aisles of hygiene products, and there's so many different ways, and people have their own little 10-step program every day for looking sparkly, I guess. And it's kind of funny because we have to have mental hygiene too. Like, you can have steps that can help you, not just physically, but mentally and spiritually. There's so many different steps that we can take, and I really liked that emphasis on not just your physical hygiene and making yourself look pretty, but also taking care of yourself. We're children of God and His creations, and He wants us to be happy and healthy, and that includes being mentally there as well as physically sparkly.
Yeah, you gotta sparkle and shine mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, not just physically. And on that note, we'll learn from Abby and Sadie all about how we can do that, and we'll kick it over to Ashton and Leah.
Who am I here with today?
Amber.
Blake.
Josh.
I just have some quick questions for you. Do you or do you not shower?
I do.
Yes.
Every day.
And when you're showering, are you using shampoo?
Yes.
Yes.
What shampoo are you usually using?
Old Spice.
Tea tree shampoo. I think it is Suave.
I use Moroccan oil.
That sounds fancy. When you're walking down the aisle at whichever institution you buy your shampoo at, what kind of messaging and branding do you think that the beauty industry is trying to send to you?
It just kind of goes for like what the stereotypes are, like shiny, soft, smooth, anti-frizz, just kind of stuff like that.
That I need to spend more money to be more pretty.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I'm pretty enough as it is.
So true, so true. All right, now we'll kick it back to the studio.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Take a Leap podcast. I'm Leah, and co-hosting with me today is Ashton. We're here in studio with Abby and Sadie Bowler. Thanks for coming in, guys.
Thank you so much for having us. We're excited to be here.
Yeah, happy to be here. Sadie and Abby are sisters and founders of SadieB Personal Care, a hair products company that focuses on girls' mental hygiene.
You guys are so cool. I'm so glad that you're talking with us right now. Let's find out where this whole idea for SadieB came from.
Yeah, so I grew up styling and braiding hair since I was 11. So I was immersed in the beauty and personal care space at a really young age. And as I grew up using these hair products, it became clear to me the mental toll that the messages I was constantly receiving telling me that I needed to look a certain way to be considered good enough. It was taking a toll on my mental health. And Abby and I recognized that at the time as high school students, we weren't focused on what we looked like so much, but we were focused on building friendships and RAP classes and the sports that we were doing. These multifaceted parts of us and different parts of our personalities, and that's what was most important to us. And we did not see a brand that was speaking about those things at all. And that's really where the idea of SadieB stemmed from. And about the same time I was a junior in high school, I was just with my dad running errands. He was out of shampoo. So we ran to the grocery store, we grabbed a couple things, and then went to the shampoo aisle. He was trying to find whatever there was available. There was a mom and daughter standing nearby, and we were looking at the shampoos and just picking up the big brand generic ones. And my dad picks up two of them and goes, "Do I want touchable softness or all day shine?" And the mom and daughter next to us just burst out laughing because it's hilarious to think of those things being applied to a dad. He doesn't need to be touchable or shiny. He's just a dad. But as we walked away from that experience, realizing that those things were directed at me, those things were directed at other young girls, and just recognizing that there needed to be a change in the dialogue in the beauty industry to, one, address the national mental health crisis happening among girls, and to celebrate the whole girl, to celebrate what we are capable of, our potential, who we are, rather than what we look like.
I love that, yeah. As you're speaking, I'm wishing you're 20 years older and I had these products when I was a kid. That's so awesome.
Yeah, I love that term mental hygiene, and I love the story of how this idea originated with your dad in the supermarket. And it's a silly story, but it really speaks on much more serious things and how serious the way we talk about things like this can be, and how serious messaging is when it comes to products like these.
So you have this idea of mental hygiene, and we want to know, what does that mean to you and your customers, and how does that set you apart from the rest of the market?
Sadie touched on our mission to address the national mental health crisis among young people, and through our messaging and through the development of SadieB, we evolved from being a brand that was, in general, empowering girls to a brand that was empowering girls to take care of themselves, both through personal care and mental hygiene. And mental hygiene is this idea of taking care of your mental health on a daily basis and developing practices and habits that help you care for yourself. And we feel like that is our contribution to all the efforts supporting young people's mental health. There is so much around suicide prevention, and we feel like our contribution and where we want to contribute to the cause is to provide tools and resources that are preventative and that help people, especially girls, help people from ever getting to the point of crisis like that.
We talked about the mission of the company and how the idea began, but I want to know how you got to the point of having an actual company. There's a lot of people with good ideas, but how were you able to turn that into an actual business?
The short answer to that question is mentors. And beginning with our dad, who's a serial entrepreneur. So when Sadie and I first started developing the idea for SadieB, we would talk about it a lot. And finally, our dad said, if you guys are really serious about pursuing this idea, I would help you. He was like, I think it's a really good idea. And obviously Sadie and I were feeling really passionate about it. And so he's the one who really gave us the courage to go after it. And then we've since, along the journey of SadieB, have acquired so many incredible mentors. The female founder community in Utah is incredible. And we've been amazed at the support that we've received.
Yes, I think it's important to recognize the many, many miracles along the way.
Yeah, I love that. I like how you mentioned the miracles. It sounds like God is truly just placing everything and everyone in your life who you needed at the time to make this company come to life.
It's so amazing that you guys give so much credit to others and to God. Can we hear more about the actual products that you make? Or what does this company we've talked so much about actually sell?
We have shampoo, conditioner, body wash, and body spray. Our 4 product lines are the Go-Getter, the Athlete, the Adventurer, and the Creator. And each of them have functionalities that go along with what girls are doing in these areas. For example, the Athlete is our most clarifying for girls that are sweating and practicing all day, and it has ingredients like charcoal and apple cider vinegar, and then keeps your hair healthy in the sun and chlorine.
Yeah, and really giving girls a unique shopping experience when they're looking for personal care. So often, girls arrive to a website or arrive to a shelf and are looking at the different ways that they need to fix their appearance. And our products offer girls the opportunity to buy personal care while thinking about the things that they enjoy doing.
To me, it sounds like not only is this better for the mental health of young girls, but also they can finally see themselves on the shelf. Like, oh, I am an adventurer, I am a go-getter, not shiny or I don't know. What else do you have on the shampoo line? Nothing good or uplifting, but it also sounds like the ingredients you have, it's more attuned to the individual person, which is so amazing. So do you use your own products?
Religiously.
Perfect. I want to know, the other 3 people in this room have all tried SadieB products, so I want to know what you use and why.
Yes, I am not a girl, but I do use SadieB products. I'm not ashamed to admit that at all. I am an adventurer.
Awesome.
I switch between lines because I do like all of them, but I find myself using the Athlete the most often because I love running and I usually am running or working out every day, so I use the Athlete line.
It's cool that you can switch between lines too, because I think as girls grow, their interests and their lives change so much too. So that's awesome.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think it's so exciting to see girls that are using the product and connecting with the messaging, and they're seeing themselves in all the different products.
Yeah.
And that's one of my favorite things that we've seen. But I'm all across the board. I use everything. I just recently found out that our Creator and Adventurer mixed together smell amazing.
Wow.
So anyways, yeah, I use all of them.
Cool.
I love that. As a user, I can give you feedback that it works great. But I want to know what feedback you get from the girls who use your products, and not just about the product itself, but about the messaging and what that means to them, your customers.
Yeah, we've had a handful of experiences of just girls engaging with our social media and with the products and just expressing to us like, oh my gosh, like that post on social media today about taking care of my mental hygiene, that's exactly what I needed today. I think we have so much room to grow and so much room to improve and refine our messaging, as every company does, but I think coming in contact with girls that have had such a positive experience with SadieB it's really gratifying.
It seems your faith fits so seamlessly with your business goals. It's so inspiring. And I wonder if we could hear more about your faith experiences. I know that, Abby, you were planning to go on a mission, and you left right as SadieB was getting started. Could you share your experience with that?
Yeah, so previous to ever starting SadieB or even thinking about starting SadieB, I decided that I wanted to serve a mission. I planned to go the summer after my freshman year of college when I turned 19. And by the time I finished my freshman year of college, we were pretty deep into the creation of SadieB. And quite frankly, I didn't know what I was going to do about my mission. I was still committed to the decision that I had made to go on a mission, but I began making changes to the timeline. So after my freshman year, I thought maybe I'll stick around for one more semester and then see if it makes sense to go on a mission then. And then I thought maybe if I do then one more semester, so a year from now, I'll see if it makes sense for me to leave on a mission then. And through a series of personal experiences and spiritual experiences, I realized that there never was going to be a time that it made sense for me to leave my life for 18 months to go serve a mission. And I realized that's the point. There is never going to be a convenient time in life to serve God full time and leave behind school or a career. But realized that was my opportunity to show the Lord that I loved him and that I really did want to serve him.
Yeah, and I think too, with Abby going on a mission, I was intimidated to take over and launch by myself, but there again was no shortage of blessings that came from Abby being on a mission. And I look back on it now and I'm like, the only way I did that was because God was helping me because Abby went on a mission. That is what made it work.
That is just such an awesome and inspiring story. What other big experiences do you guys look back on that impacted your testimony? Or maybe you don't really look back on experiences, but patterns or themes in your life that really just impact your faith and show you God in your life?
I don't think that there was really a moment where I decided to believe. I think there was a moment that I decided I was deeply committed. And that commitment was to Jesus Christ. And it was actually when Abby was on her mission, things with SadieB were ramping up so quickly. And I was deciding whether or not to go on a mission. And so just was in prayer and fasting and trying to figure out what I was supposed to do. And through that experience, I felt like I didn't get an answer for so long because I just was looking for a yes or no on if the mission was right. And I think finally, after probably a year of trying to figure this out, I think my heart was softened enough to be open to a different answer. And that answer for me in my life personally was just go to the temple. When Abby got home from her mission, which was shortly after I made this decision, I went through the temple to receive my endowment, and that was something that just deepened my commitment and opened the heavens, strengthened my relationship with God so much.
Something that helped me is weekly partaking of the sacrament. For me, that is my lifeline, and that is my opportunity to connect with Jesus Christ in a really personal way. Even when things are overwhelming with work or with school or both or other things that are going on in my life, it is something tangible. It's somewhere I can be, where I can show up to, for me to say to the Lord, I'm here. I've come to spend time at the feet of the Savior, to receive grace and to receive forgiveness and start fresh this week.
I love that both of your stories included a sense of action. Sadie, for you, it was different than maybe some other people, but the answer that you got still required you to act. And Abby, every week going to take the sacrament is a choice that you're making.
You've talked about it slightly, but I want to know, what difference does it make in your life and with the operations of your company, but just in the day-to-day, your feelings and attitudes and behaviors? How is it different because you believe in God?
I love a quote from President Nelson in his conference talk where he said that what we do in this life really matters. And I believe that's true. I believe that for me, involving my faith with every aspect of my life, including work, makes a huge difference and helps me turn to God in anything that I may be facing. Even if it's not something that is directly related to church, I believe that because our heavenly parents and because Jesus Christ have perfect love for us, if something is important to us, it is important to them. My belief in God gives me personal purpose and allows me to seek out opportunities that align with that personal purpose. And for me, SadieB definitely does that.
I love the alignment of your personal and spiritual purposes. This kind of leads us to our next question, which I think all of us right now are at an age of questioning and an age of hard choices, like where to go to school, what to do with your future, should I launch a business or not? So many different questions. And I'm wondering what brings you joy in the church, so much joy that makes you stay in the church, that when so many young adults leave?
There are a lot of things that bring me joy in the church, including the friends that I've made through the church and the opportunities I've been given to serve. And at the heart of what brings me joy in the church is my covenant or my covenants with God. Obviously, I have the same questions that a lot of people have and have faced or face a lot of the same doubts that other people have. And for me, I don't stay in the church because I have decided that I don't care about those things or that those things don't bother me or that those things don't carry any weight, because in a lot of cases they do. But for me, none of those things, none of those questions or concerns could ever outweigh the personal relationship I have with Jesus Christ through my covenants. To me, that is everything.
Yeah, I think you both have a really innate ability to overcome and just tackle difficulties head on. Like, you're not saying, I'm going to ignore these questions, you're going to address them and come to terms with them. And with your business too, like when Abby left on her mission, it didn't sound to me like either of you were super scared. You were like, okay, this is just another thing we have to deal with and overcome. I think that's probably one of the talents that have made you so successful.
Yeah, this makes me think of a conversation I had with an institute teacher once, and it was the beginning of a class. He was posing these questions to the class, and he asked us how many recorded questions was Jesus asked in his ministry in the New Testament. He said over 150. Then he asked how many questions did he answer. He answered 8. And then he asked how many questions did Jesus Christ ask. He asked over 350 questions. So I just believe so strongly in asking questions and digging in. And I think as I've done that, what most people would think would be the more you dig in and the more you ask and question, maybe the further away you get from the church. And I found the exact opposite. I've found so much joy in asking questions and not even receiving answers, but like I mentioned before, coming to better understand how the Savior's atonement comes into play when I have those questions and doubts. And there's so many things that the church offers that bring me closer to Jesus Christ, and that is really why I choose to stay, whether it's my covenants or the sacrament or the community or the Book of Mormon. All of these things strengthen my relationship with Jesus Christ so much and bring me so much joy in my life.
I relate to that a lot personally because I also feel like what's been most testimony building for me and which has given me the most faith is discussing questions and serious questions, big questions in spiritual and faith-based environments where we can try and, if not even to find answers, to discuss it together and let that build our faith rather than asking questions in a way that will tear our faith down.
Yeah, I love the themes of action that we've had here today, being willing to act and listen to the Spirit. So thank you so much. We've loved everything that you've said, and thank you for being anxiously engaged in such a unique and inspiring cause.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much to Sadie and Abby Bowler for coming in and talking to us. This episode was produced by me, Leah King, and Ashton Rowan, who's now on a mission serving the people of Poland. We love you, Ashton. We are so pumped to be starting Take a Leap and would love to have your help spreading the word. So share this with your grandma, your aunts, your uncles, all 3 of your friends, everyone. We'd also love if you left a review on Apple or Spotify if you're loving this podcast. Take a Leap is a production of BYU Radio. We'll see you next week.